All right, let's just dive right in. Picture this, almost like a scene straight out of a 4K heritage cinematic film. You're looking up at the silent heavens, right? Just moments before a massive world event occurs. The sky is perfectly, almost eerily still. And then, a pure, prophetic light begins descending through the atmosphere. At night, while the whole world is fast asleep, dreams are flickering across the minds of humanity, kind of like cosmic notifications just lighting up a dark screen. Even the birds, darting through the morning air, are carrying these invisible whispers, actually signaling shifts in reality before they even happen on the ground. So here's the big question. If the universe is constantly speaking, how exactly do we tune in to its silent broadcasts? Well, that's the ultimate secret we're going to unpack today.
Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're exploring some genuinely mind-bending ancient Kabbalistic texts. They propose this wild idea. What if every single earthly event is literally just the final display of a prior heavenly broadcast? I want you to think of reality as this massive, intricate cosmic tech stack. Long before anything happens down here on the ground, whether we're talking about a global shift or just a personal encounter in your day, it first appears as an upper system notification. From there, it's routed down through a highly specific network. Sometimes it comes through the high-speed fiber optics of pure prophecy. Other times, it's through the static-filled dial-up connection of a dream or as a heavenly proclamation, or even through subtle nature signals.
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the immutable cosmic architecture. Then we'll look at formatting the divine blueprint, followed by the colors of upper energy. Next up, prophecy as direct transmission and dreams as the mixed signal. Finally, we'll wrap up with how these heavenly decrees actually manifest. We're moving top-down, from macro-cosmic engineering straight to your micro-human experience.
Section 1. The immutable cosmic architecture. Look, you really can't understand the software notifications without first understanding the cosmic servers that actually process them. You know, there's this incredible 16th century text called the Book of Evening Light, the Or-Nirav, and it explicitly defines the hardware of existence. It tells us that there are exactly 10 Sephirot, no more, no less. These 10 unchangeable divine dimensions basically act as the ultimate operating system of all reality. The author is super strict about this. You absolutely cannot add to them or subtract from them. They are the immutable architecture, the infinite divine network where all energy, all decrees, and every single physical manifestation gets processed and routed.
To really grasp this, think about how a decree flows through the system. It starts in Hokmah. That's your initial source code flash, pure, raw, unformatted data. Boom. From there, it moves right into Bina, the great processor, which formats and structures that raw code into a decree you can actually comprehend. As it continues its descent, it hits Hod, acting as the channel or interface for lower-level prophecy. Then it hits Yesod. Think of Yesod as the great funnel, the core transmission line that gathers all that higher bandwidth into a single focused point. Finally, the signal hits Malkut. Malkut is the physical display. It's the final interface. So by the time an event finally happens in your life down in Malkut, it has already been completely coded and routed through all those higher servers. Okay, moving to Section 2, formatting the divine blueprint. Let's trace how this cosmic energy descends through what the Kabbalists actually call the blueprint. According to the Etz Chaim, the tree of life, this transmission follows the structure of the Tzelem, the divine blueprint, which spells out the word for image or shadow. It processes data in 3 very distinct downward steps. It's exactly like a massive information systems cascade. First, you have the Mem, the massive upper macro processing center that holds the highest, most concealed intellect. Then that data drops into the Lamed. That's your middle-tier routing system where the energy starts taking on a more definable shape. Finally, it arrives at the Tzadi, the micro-level final manifestation that interfaces directly with the human mind. So you see, it's this beautifully structured top-down data flow. Section 3. The colors of upper energy. And honestly, this is where things get really fascinating with how they visualize the data. The ancient text, Pardes Rimonim, the orchard of pomegranates, makes a really vital point here. Ancient Kabbalists used colors almost like UI or user interface indicators to identify the exact type of energy coming down. But we are not talking about physical colors. These are frequency indicators. When a prophet or dreamer perceives pure white, they're seeing the frequency of chesed, that's pure mercy, a clear, completely unimpeded flow of positive energy. But when the system flashes red, that indicates Javura, that's a strict judgment, a really intense decree that restricts and limits. Yesod shows up as a mixed or sapphire color, perfectly balancing the transmission.
And Malchut, our final reality interface, often appears as black or tekalit, a deep blue. It absorbs everything, acting as the ultimate screen that the cosmic code is rendered onto.
Section 4. Prophecy, the direct transmission. Now that we know the architecture and the frequencies, let's look at the receivers. Not all human receivers are built the same, right? The text Shari Kedusha explains this massive difference in human hardware. Take Moses. Moses was a pure receiver. His physical body was so refined that it literally didn't crash when receiving the highest cosmic downloads. He experienced unhindered bandwidth, speaking mouth to mouth with the divine. Zero physical trembling. Other prophets, though, their hardware just couldn't handle the raw power. When that high-frequency signal hit them, their physical bodies were completely overwhelmed. They trembled, they fell to the ground, and they received the data heavily encrypted in parables and visions. Why? Because a direct, uncompressed download would have literally shattered their physical forms.
So the absolute crucial takeaway here is that pure prophecy operates on an entirely different level than everyday human thought. It completely bypasses the lower human imagination, which, let's face it, is highly prone to error and distortion. Instead, the signal connects directly to the 5 spiritual senses. It's a pure intellectual transmission, no earthly static whatsoever.
Section 5. Dreams, the mixed signal. So what happens when those direct transmission lines of prophecy are severed, and we have to rely on a much lower bandwidth?
Well, the Zohar tells us that today our primary upper system notifications arrive through dreams. The text explains that because prophecy and the Bat Kal, the heavenly voice, have ceased, humanity is pretty much left with the dream state. But dreams are tricky. The Zohar states they come from the left side and descend through many chaotic levels. As this signal drops down through the lower atmosphere, it picks up intense static, dark symbols, and interference from what the Kabbalists call the outside forces. The Talmud and the Zohar actually quantify this force perfectly. A dream contains exactly 1/60th the bandwidth of a true prophecy. Think about that. It is a highly compressed, heavily mixed symbolic packet. And because the signal is so weak, it requires the human imagination to unpack it, which means truth and total nonsense become heavily tangled together. You are getting the notification for sure, but your screen is glitching.
To put this simply, if you're explaining this to kids, just tell them reality is like a video game. Up in the cloud, there's hidden code, and down here, that code renders out into a boss level you suddenly have to beat. A dream is just a sneak peek at the game code before the level loads. But for us adults, the cosmic engineering is a lot more like a metaphysical VPN. The upper system is trying to route a pure divine decree straight to your IP address, but it has to travel through heavy server static and rogue networks. It arrives on your mental desktop as a heavily encrypted dream file that you now have to decipher. Section 6. Manifesting the heavenly decree. Let's bring it all home and see how these signals actually hit the ground.
In Parashat Vayeshev, the Zohar delivers the core teaching of this entire system. It's an ancient Aramaic maxim that roughly translates to, "Nothing enters the world until it is first announced above." Every single earthly event, without exception, is preceded by a decree signal. Reality down here is simply the monitor displaying the broadcast. Sometimes this announcement comes as a dream. Sometimes, like the ancient texts say, it's carried by low-level messenger nodes. Literally, birds carrying whispers and frequencies through the air, shifting the environment right before an event drops into the physical dimension of Malchut.
And that leaves us with a pretty profound realization, doesn't it? The universe's architecture is humming. It's constantly sending out these upper system notifications.
So the ultimate question is really about your hardware. Are your spiritual receivers actively tuned to catch the clear light of pure transmission? Or are you letting your awareness get lost in the static? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.